Hey guys, we have Hampton and Michelle here live from Postal Conservative News. We are in Orlando where the American Patriot Executive Committee is hosting a press conference. Why? Because the Republican Party of Florida is having their quarterly meeting inside, and so many people here have been kicked out of the Republican Party of Florida. This doesn't seem right that we actually have people, Republicans who consider themselves America First, MAGA, actually being disenfranchised, possibly by the party. What do you think of this, Camden?
Well, you always think that it might be Republican versus Democrat, but sometimes it's in your own party that you have to stand up for the truth, and you see people out here doing that right now. There's patriots who really care about the country, and they want to take back the party that got the president elected and to start to do things from the people, the people, not just the leadership. Sometimes leadership gets corrupted, and the people out here are standing up to do that and defend it right here.
It's important that you know, guys, that our tax dollars here in Florida go to elect a state committee man and a state committee woman in each county. You elect them, and under the leadership of Evan Power and Bill Helmich with our Republican Party of Florida, they have actually broken down and dismantled and taken away your state committee man and woman in areas like Manatee County. Think about that. Your tax dollars put these people on the ballot, and then Bill Helmich and Evan Power remove them arbitrarily because they don't really agree with a lot of things with them.
And these are people that got elected.
They got elected.
You voted.
They used your tax dollars. They're not going quietly, and we're going to hear some of those stories of people who have been disenfranchised by your Republican Party of Florida. If you don't like what you're hearing today, we're going to give you a call to action of who to reach out to and let them know what you think. Let's turn it over.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being here. My name is Pat Tykowski, and I'm honored to serve as your MC for today's press conference, presented by the American Patriot Executive Committee, or APEC. We are a coalition of grassroots America First patriots. The mission of APEC is to endorse and support MAGA candidates in the Republican primaries who uphold the U.S. Constitution, defend America First values, and lead with integrity as patriots. We appreciate the members of the media and guests for taking time to hear from our speakers today. Especially like to thank CDM Miami Independent, Todd Wood, Ed Vidal from MiamiIndependent.com, and Coastal Conservatives Network. The purpose of today's press conference is to shed light on the anti-Republican actions of the leadership of the Florida Republican Party of Florida, the RPOF. We are in front of the Hilton Hotel in Orlando as the RPOF is holding their quarterly meeting here this weekend. Today, we will hear from a number of individuals from across the state of Florida who have been expelled from their local county Republican executive committees, or RECs, by the RPOF. In the name of unity, they have been denied their fundamental rights: free speech, freedom of assembly, and due process, to name a few. These principles are the cornerstones of self-government, and they should matter to everyone, especially our party leaders. Our first president, George Washington, warned about political parties. He talked about what happens when loyalty to a group outweighs loyalty to the truth or to the country itself. He cautions that unchecked partisanship divides communities, clouds judgments, and replaces principle with power. Thomas Paine, in Common Sense, wrote that government is a necessary evil, not something to be glorified, but something to be kept in check. Its purpose, he said, is simple: to protect life, liberty, and property. He believed government should stay close to the people, clear, limited, and accountable, because once it grows distant or complicated, it stops serving the citizen and starts serving itself. These timeless warnings are still relevant today. This press conference is about calling the RPOF back to its principles: transparency, due process, and respect for individual rights. Government of, by, and for the people. We have a lot of important voices to hear today. So to make sure we stay on track and everyone's message comes across clearly, please hold applause and reactions until each speaker has finished. We truly appreciate your understanding. With that, I'd like to introduce our first speaker, Robin Lum from Duval County, who will share his experience as a Florida Republican Assembly member who sued the RPOF.
I have my friend Blake Harper here hold the microphone while I speak. My name is Robin Lum. I'm the former chair of the Duval County Republican Party and a member of the Duval County Board of County Commissioners from 2011 to 2015. As a party activist, I've spent thousands of hours working to help build the Republican Party and elect true conservatives to public office. For 20 years, I was also an elected member of the Duval County Republican Executive Committee until I was unlawfully removed by RPOF Chair Evan Power using a kangaroo court grievance process that deliberately ignored the RPOF's own internal rules. Had those rules been followed, they would have barred any attempt to remove me from my elected position as a member of the Duval County REC. So, why was I removed? Because I used the term Republican, which the RPOF claims to be its official property, in naming the Duval County Republican Assembly a chapter of the Florida Republican Assembly, which has been operating independently of the RPOF since 1998. Let me repeat that. My removal from the Duval County REC was predicated on the RPOF's bizarre assertion that the term Republican is its official property and that using it without the permission of Tallahassee's party bosses is a violation of Florida law. For the record, the term Republican has been in common use to identify members of our party since it was founded in 1854, and by federal law is not subject to trademark of any kind. Nonetheless, Evan Power and his ciphers from around the state of Florida have used the RPOF's absurd ownership claim to conduct a campaign of harassment and intimidation by threatening loyal Republicans with expensive litigation simply for using the term Republican. Since my removal, dozens of other Republican executive committees members have been removed from their elected offices for the same reason. If Florida's Republican voters knew about the RPOF's outrageous attacks on ordinary Republicans, which to date have been largely directed at the party's First Amendment America First loyalists, they would be in open revolt. The unfortunate truth is that the Republican Party of Florida, which is supposed to represent the interest of Republican voters, is now run by lobbyists, power brokers, and corrupt establishment insiders bent on using our party for personal, political, and financial gain. For the Republican Party of Florida to threaten ordinary Republican voters with expensive lawsuits for using the term Republican is not only the height of arrogance, it is a clear violation of the First Amendment rights of every registered Republican in the state of Florida. This must stop.
Amen.
Please welcome our next speaker, Connie Bruni from Sarasota.
Thank you, Robin, and thanks for everybody for being here today. My name is Connie Bruni. I'm from Sarasota County, and I am a former elected official who escaped California, and I'm also a lifelong. Am I okay?
Yep.
I am disgusted by the shenanigans being perpetrated by the Republican Party of Florida upon MAGA loyalists in this state and other duly elected persons. It is not right. Like Robin, I was removed from my elected position as a Republican Executive Committee member after a true election paid for by the taxpayers in this state. Think about that for a second. That's outrageous, if you really want to know. And my crime was I used the name Republican in forming the Republican Assembly chapter in Sarasota County in 2023. And in fact, I belonged to the NFRA in California way back in the 1980s. In fact, my husband and I met each other in 1982 at a similar organization in Bakersfield. In 1980, my mom died with a picture of me, Ronald Reagan, in her purse that was taken at a Republican Assembly event in Bakersfield. So I've been involved with this for a long time. I support the mission of the NFRA. However, we were fine in Florida. 1998, received a charter, everything was fine. Nobody bothered the Florida Republican Assembly until 2024. What happened? What happened in that period of time? Well, in the Sarasota area, we actually had members of our group who authored anti-grooming bills that are now used nationwide as a template for anti-grooming of children throughout this country. Oh my, wasn't that bad? We also got our Board of County Commissioners to approve a medical freedom and pro-life resolutions. Those are the things we stand on. We still stand on those things today. What happened, though, was we also participated in the primary elections of 2024. Oh my goodness, imagine American citizens engaging in our First Amendment rights of the primary election. Sarcasm, obviously. So I want to make sure you understand that. We endorsed candidates, and that was what the Republican Party of Florida didn't like, because they weren't necessarily their hand-picked candidates. It's a farce. When you have a primary that doesn't work, it has become a farce on the taxpayers and the voters of this state. That's where I draw the line. After me and Robin were first, he and I were first, then hundreds of MAGA loyalists were purged from the party throughout the state based on bogus grievances that we were never allowed to see. One of those was my husband, so I'm fully aware of firsthand of how this process was handled, or not handled, let's say. So we do know that this is not right. My beef with the RPOF is bogus, selective enforcement of their ever-changing rules. They change it every 3 months. Seriously, every 3 months. So that they can speciously override taxpayer-funded elections. Taxpayer-funded elections. Why have the farce of elections? Why allow them to engage in trademark bullying? That's what they're really doing. This is trademark bullying, and you can look that up. That's a legal term. It's a very specific legal term. We have to stop them. The purpose today is to ask the public to inform them and ask them to help us expose these truths. Our next speaker is Bob Valenta from Lee County.
Hi, my name is Bob Valenta, and I am the precinct committee man in exile for Lee County Precinct 407. I was fired by Evan Power and Bill Helmich on December 3rd, 2024, 3 hours before the board elections for Lee County. I currently serve as the president of the Lee County Republican Assembly, and I'm a candidate for president of the Florida Republican Assembly. I'm also involved with several other groups like APEC and Reclaim Campaign, which are also under attack. The idea that the Republican Party of Florida would think they possess the right to decide who each of us associates with is ludicrous on its face and violates our God-given right to freedom of association, protected and guaranteed by the First Amendment. This is Stasi America, and no Republican should ever act like that. What's next? The demonization of my faith? Who follows me on social media? Maybe someone who merely likes something that I post? Why are they doing this? Training and control, fear and self-restraint. And some of us fall for it. We think we need to live under a rock in a secret society belonging to groups where we are not allowed to know who else belongs. Secret societies, fear, self-restraint are all un-American. So we need to come out loud and proud, crawl out from under our rock, and roll with the punches. It's time to stop hiding. That's what they want. So again, why are Republicans treating fellow Republicans this way? Are they really Republicans if their lobbying efforts are funding Democrats? They invent arbitrary rules to disqualify us as candidates for office in the REC, while they themselves violate the heart and soul of the party loyalty oath by supporting Democrats over Republicans. What is their real reason? Is it because I support banning the COVID-19 bioweapon jab? Is it because we demand return to same-day ballots? I ask you. And I want to introduce Melissa Thorne.
Hi, my name is Melissa Thorne. I am an America First grassroots patriot from Volusia County. I've been a lifelong registered Republican until June of 2025, when I left the party and joined the America First Party of Florida. The reason I did this is because the Republican Party of Florida, the RPOF, have allowed their morals to be corrupt. They are found seriously lacking. And as a Christian woman, I can no longer stay silent about their corruption.
Yes.
I am a political activist,
Yes.
wanting to affect change, so I became a precinct committee woman in my local Republican Party. I've been fighting for years in Tallahassee to get election integrity legislation passed to no avail. I have made phone calls, written letters, sent emails. I've sat across desks with legislators, with groups representing election integrity bills. And guess how many bills got passed? In 6 years, none.
Zero.
So I filed to run as a state committee woman for the Republican Party of Volusia County in 24. I was ready to take the next step to represent my party at the state level. But not only did the Republican Party of Volusia sabotage my campaign by promoting other candidates in non-endorsed races, violating their own rules, they called me a Democrat infiltrator and said that I was going against the Republican Party, that I was not a true Republican. I was extremely shocked at the rhetoric coming from my own party, when all I wanted to do was affect change and fight for my state. This is the Republican Party you have voted for. And a grassroots activist, I can tell you they are not who they claim to be. I have worked campaigns for grassroots candidates. I have knocked doors. I have made phone calls. I have sent texts. I have worked campaign booths. I have stood on corners holding signs for hours and hours and hours. Donated time for the Republican Party of Volusia County just for the RPOF to file a grievance on me for saying that I was supporting the FRA with zero evidence of such. None. They presented none. So I left. They were trying to remove me and at least 50 others. A little structural insight, RPOF is at the top in the state. All executive committees are in the counties. There are rules in a constitution to follow, which they do not. Evan Powers, the RPOF state chair, he also sits on a consulting lobby board called Ramba Consulting. Ramba is the executive director of the state supervisor of election board and big money. And this is the primary reason election bills do not get passed. Election bills like one-day voting, like ballots, hand-counted, like verifying U.S. citizenship. It's not been done. Right on. Yes. Republican Party's rotten to the core, and I pray that everyone hears this message, because the time has come. The time has come for MAGA and America First to rise up. Right on. Tom Lord from Osceola is the next speaker. Thank you, and God bless America.
Thank you. Yeah.
Good afternoon. My name is Tom Lord. I am the president of the Osceola County chapter of the FRA. Now, with my story, it begins in 2022. In 2022, I was a fresh, very green local candidate that saw little to no help from our local REC. Despite being promised help, I was never given it. But bothering me more than that
that during this election, I was watching our Osceola County REC endorse 2 Democrats in their respective races. I have the receipts. This is true. Later in 2022, our local REC had their own election. Many local conservatives were outraged by the actions of our REC, and my good friend and patriot John Arguello decided he would throw his name in for chairman, which did not sit well at that time with the current chairman, Mark Cross, who happens to be the grievance committee chair. They told John he could not run because he was not a member in good standing, which was an utter joke since he was an elected official, our only true conservative school board member, and the school board meetings were on the same night as the REC meetings, and they made exceptions for others. Another REC member tried to run, and she was not allowed to speak, and it was clear that this was going to be a sham election. Many of us that night decided in 2023, including that woman that wasn't allowed to speak, myself, and many others formed our Osceola County chapter of FRA because we felt like we had nowhere left to go. But in 2023 through 2024, we tried to work with alongside our REC for the good of our candidates locally and for President Trump's election. But once again, we saw the ineffectiveness of our REC as they did very little to help our candidates, including our most important candidate that cycle, according to us, Jim Trouts for Supervisor of Elections. Mark Cross, who was a candidate himself for state committeeman, did plenty to help himself, though. This time after the election and right before our REC's election, about 50 of us received a letter from the RPOF Executive Director, Bill Helmich, telling us a grievance had been filed against us for our membership within FRA, and any of us that were holding a precinct committeeman or committeewoman position would be removed from office. The night of that election, police surrounded the entry, and at least 30 or more REC members were not allowed entry and threatened with arrest. Even at that time, Mark Cross's REC vice chair sided with us. And because Mark Cross was unhappy with the dissension, he promptly canceled that election. 2 weeks later, Evan Power appointed our state representative's boyfriend as the new Osceola County chairman. This is a man that had very little to do with our local REC over the prior years. Now, I could talk about the shady connections, conflicts of interest, and immoral behavior of our RPOF leadership, but I will only say this. As long as Evan Power, Bill Helmich, and others stay in leadership of the RPOF, we will continue to see a dictatorial behavior, and they will continue to divide and fracture our Florida conservative base. Thank you for your time. Your next speaker is Jennifer Wayman.
Thank you.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Jennifer Wayman, and I am speaking on behalf of my husband, Trent Wayman. Unfortunately, he cannot be with us today. He's very ill. He is a duly elected Republican state committeeman for Manatee County. And today, I want to bring attention to the concerning issues within the Republican Party of Florida that directly impact patriots like yourselves and those committed to the America First principles. 2 years ago, Trent decided to run for state committeeman because he saw our local Republican leadership neglecting our ideas and our needs. The Republican Executive Committee in our county was largely very ineffective, accomplishing little despite all of our efforts. Despite these challenges, and outside the Republican Executive Committee and outside the RPOF, we built a strong coalition of grassroots activists, media, and candidates, many of whom were not backed by the REC or the RPOF. We did it without your money and without your endorsements, and we beat every single one of your candidates. And we're going to do it again. You might also recall the so-called MAGA PAC voter guides from last August that they sent all around the state. These guides prominently featured images of Donald Trump and Ron DeSantis, giving the impression that the establishment candidates endorsed them. In reality, these candidates did not receive any such endorsement. The PAC that sent these guides out all over the state was led by Eric Robinson, who is connected to Robinson, Gruters, and Roberts. an organization with ties to Joe Gruters, who is now in charge of the RNC. See how that works? These voter guides violated Florida law, specifically statute 103.081, which prohibits the use of official party names and logos without permission. But since they don't follow any rules, Trent reached out to the RPOF Chairman Power and Director Helmich for clarification, but of course, no response. Shocking. Although a cease and desist letter was claimed to have been issued, we later received a second guide with the logos removed, but the names and websites still intact. This is yet another example of corruption within the party. Despite these obstacles, Trent was elected state committeeman in Manatee County by 60% of the votes in Manatee County. However, shortly after the primary, the RPOF passed a resolution granting Evan Power and the Grievance Committee sweeping powers to shut down our local Republican Party, undermining our sovereignty and our grassroots efforts. Most recently, Trent was denied voting rights by Chairman Power at the RPOF annual meeting despite being fully credentialed. When Trent challenged them on this, Director Helmich said there was a rule, and when we pressed for clarification and proof of that rule, the meeting was adjourned, and that was the end of that. Furthermore, Trent was unjustly removed as Manatee County State Committeeman on March 13th without any due process, any proof, nothing. This pattern of top-down control and suppression of grassroots voices must end. We are committed to fighting for transparency, integrity, and the true principles of our party. And I'd like to add my own comment to Mr. Evan Powers. It is so unprofessional and obnoxious for you to go on X and say the things that you've said about my husband and I, as somebody who's supposed to be a man in power and an example. You are nothing of either of those things. You are an embarrassment to the party. Thank you. And the next speaker is Jackie Heisey, Manatee County.
Good afternoon. My name is Jackie Heisey, and I was elected Manatee County State Committee woman with 37% of the vote on August 20th, 2024. This was the same primary where we defeated many special interest candidates pushed by the state party and big donors. My campaign sign stated, "Republican voters called and they want their party back." And we did it. 18 days later, the Republican Party of Florida shut down our county executive committee. The story was we were out of control and they could not figure out what was happening. I call it bullshit. This was done to take control of the county party away from Manatee Republicans. You should know our chair, April Colbreth, spent funds without approval for which a grievance was filed. She caused the treasurer and secretary to resign. She held only one meeting in 2024. She raised no money. She violated rules of the party to assist in her own failed primary campaign for county commissioner and that of her friends. And she locked us out of our headquarters during the 2024 elections. They knew she was the problem. A so-called RPOF turnaround plan was put in place with no communication or local involvement of our committee. Trent Wayman and I even met with Evan Power January 2025, but only to hear why we could not vote at our first RPOF meeting. The turnaround plan was not discussed. On March 13th, I received a letter from Power stating that I was being removed from my elected position due to interference in Manatee County operations and the turnaround plan. No details or a copy of a grievance was provided. Let's be clear, there were no Manatee County operations. If there were, why was I not involved? I was never included in any turnaround plan. I played by their rules. I collected loyalty oaths. I resigned from the Florida Republican Assembly. I signed their prescribed affidavit that I would not be a member of the Republican Assembly. But next, the RPOF selected the county officers. They selected replacements for state committee man and woman, and they even selected all the members of our county committee. We do not even know who is on our county committee, but it looks like about 30 people to replace 200 members that were seated by party rules. Their meetings are held in secret and they are closed to registered Manatee Republicans. I will also add that Joe Gruters, the RNC chair, knows exactly what is happening in Manatee County and he does nothing. So what exactly is going on here? I will tell you. The big money donors are running the party and the Republican voters are left out. They want you to have one choice versus the opposition party in each election. Vote for Tallahassee's candidate or a Democrat. It is the local elected party committee that provides for a balanced primary election with choices, and it should educate its voters on those choices. We need principled people to step up as candidates, and we need every voter to do their homework. You cannot vote based solely on the endorsement by the RPOF or this secret county Republican committee. People hate politics, but you cannot be free if you have no influence over your government. If you do not have choices in an election, you don't have an election. Thank you. Our next speaker is Rick Lacey from Brevard County.
I don't know. Can you all hear me?
We know.
No. All right. Well, until a couple of weeks ago, I would have been over there trying to clean up the corruption and the lobbyist-run RPOF. But if you are not under their control, you're going to be out here. And they're going to kick out anybody they can on any technicality, any rule they can change. Very selective enforcement of the law. They ignore the rules when they want to. They make up new rules. They change the rules, all to accommodate. What they want to do is control. Evan power hungry is just going along with the lobbyists influence of this party, which is bad. Grassroots Republicans in this party are getting nowhere. They only want to use grassroots Republicans to knock on doors, raise money for them. I mean, think of it. The first $400,000 that we give to the Republican Party of Florida pays these two guys' salary. What a disgrace. I see everybody here is a volunteer and always volunteers their time and spends their own money to help elect President Trump and all the good conservative MAGA Republicans in Florida and across the country, but not there. It's all about power and hungry. And then what happens is they try to defeat me. Randy Fine, their flunky, tried to defeat me 5 times for chairman. Every time he failed. My committee voted overwhelmingly every time to reelect me. They ignore that. He put up him and his pet little state committee woman that they used a phony ballot, a sleazy phony ballot that they mailed out from some PAC that they created to try to influence Republican voters. And that's how they're trying to control these elections. You're going to have to be careful of the voter guide. The real voter guide that we had a couple of years ago, we have pictures of it being burned up in Randy Fine's driveway. I mean, that's the kind of disgraceful stuff they do. Everything that they do is ignored that they do wrong, and they only enforce the rules that they want to enforce. I mean, here you got Randy Fine, a carpetbagger up there in the 6th District. He doesn't live there. He doesn't vote there. He doesn't own a home there. He doesn't pay taxes there. His kids don't go to school there. He needs a GPS just to find your home up there, and yet he's the congressman up there. Hopefully that's going to change. Hopefully the Republicans in the 6th Congressional District will elect a real Republican next August to get rid of him. He is a horrible blight on the Republican Party. He's terrible for the country. He's a horrible human being, and hopefully, as a flunky of Evan Power, he'll get replaced. But the grassroots Republicans across the state of Florida are going to have to get organized for next year's election. With Joe Gruters as chair, we just got our heads handed to us last Tuesday from the Democrats, and that's going to be even worse next year if we keep Joe Gruters as chairman of the National Republican Committee. It's a mistake. We got to clean it up from the top down. It's got to come from the grassroots top. I ask every Republican voter of Florida to get involved, support conservative, pro-Trump, MAGA Republicans in next year's election. But you can't sit on the couch. You got to step up. You got to get involved. You got to open up your checkbook and donate to good conservative. You got to knock on doors. You got to get your friends to help you. And that's how we're going to win next year. Clean up this party. Thank you all. God bless you all.
Who's the next speaker?
The next speaker I'd like to introduce is Barbara Vaughn.
Hey, Barbara! Good morning, everybody. Good to see you here. My paper says, good afternoon, my name is Terry Angley. But it's not. I'm speaking on behalf of Terry Angley today. My name is Barbara Vaughn. Terry is the current president of our America First Southwest Florida Caucus. America First Southwest Florida Caucus, which is the largest political organization in Sarasota County. We are relatively new as we were formed in early 2024. I'm here today to tell you that America First Caucus, myself and 3 other officers are being sued by the Republican Party of Florida. We were served this lawsuit in March of 2024. We are being sued for theft. We were previously members of a chartered RPOF club. But when the RPOF changed the rules for the club, they were unacceptable to our membership. And so the original club leadership and members returned the charter to the RPOF and formed America First. Well, deep pocket RPOF said that the membership money belonged to them. Excuse me, I thought membership money belonged to the members. Amen.
Really?
Yet all documentation speaks to the contrary. So for the last 15 months, America First has been to hearings, depositions, meetings. All of these have run up the costs for our attorney fees to about $50,000. That's their day. The RPF is trying to run us into bankruptcy and run us out of business. The case went to trial just 3 weeks ago. It was a 10-hour trial without a jury. Terry was personally on the stand for 2 hours. The courtroom was packed on America First. There were less than a handful of people on the opposing side. The judge commented 3 times throughout the trial that in her 10 years as a judge, she has never had such a full court. The Grassroots delivered for us. It is about us. Now we have a cliffhanger. The judge, Danielle Brewer, conveniently placed in her judgeship through the efforts of Pat Neal, did not make a ruling after sitting through 12 hours of court. She said she had as long as a few months to determine a verdict. Her exact words were, maybe in 2 days, maybe in 2 weeks, or maybe in 2 months. She did not owe us any further explanation. We here at America First ask for your help and your prayers. We're being sucked dry financially. But with God's grace and your prayers, His will be done. If we lose, we will owe them $10,000 from our treasury, plus $100,000 to pay their claim legal fees. We need to stand together and win. Thank you. Amen. Now I'd like to introduce sorry, I've got it right here. Dave Kalin from Charlotte County.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dave Kalin. I was the chairman in Charlotte County as the director of, or the chairman for the Charlotte GOP. I was removed in October by Mr. Evan Power at the behest of Bill Helmich with a trumped up charge that how albeit I was actually working with other conservative groups recruiting. Isn't that what we're supposed to do? Apparently, that's not what they want us to do. So, it has become my mission to expose what is going on within the RPOF, and it has become very alarming. I'm going to give you a quick history about myself when I was brought in as the chairman of the Charlotte GOP. We were in disarray, years of infighting. We had meetings where the sheriffs were there because of the infighting. I was voted in unanimously, without a single opponent. They knew I was the guy to come in, straighten it out, run a clean meeting. And that's what we've done. We're one of the fastest growing executive committees in the state. We're one of the most well-organized executive committees in the state. And we're also working into the community. It's more than just getting people to vote. It's getting those boots on the ground, getting your community involved, also reaching out to those families and young people in order to get those people involved in the Republican Party for what I believe for the last 40 years was a worthy cause. I have been a little bit disheartened in what has come to the Republican Party of Florida, and that is the reign of Evan Power, Bill Helmich, and Dave Rombo. It doesn't take long to start looking through campaign donations and finding out that these gentlemen are so intertwined, whether it be with their businesses, their personal lives, homes that they rent to each other in order to get each other elected to positions that keep them in a position of power at the top of the RPOF. But they are also funding Democrat campaigns, direct violation of their loyalty oaths and the rules of procedure. Yet somehow, many of us are being removed for working with other conservative organizations. It's not just rules for thee and not for me. It is a targeted attack on the very values of the conservative Republican Party. It is up to us, we the people, to be the solution to go after this, to be as loud and as vocal as we possibly can. But I'm going to encourage every single one of you and anybody out there in the public that is watching this. If you're not in Florida or you are in Florida, start digging through your Secretary of State's campaign donation records throughout every county, every race. Find out what your GOP leaders are really doing behind the scenes. It's disgusting that when you find out that our GOP leaders are actually treasurers for Democrat super PACs or Democrat campaigns. It's not just a violation of the loyalty oath. It is a complete and utter flying in the face of what Republican values stand for. We are God, family, country. We have got to get back to that, or we are going to lose the great state of Florida. We saw what just happened this week in New York City. It is a travesty what is happening in our nation, and I'm sure if you start to look into who is funding that, you might find some of the same interesting values going on there that are happening within our own party. So I am here to encourage every one of you that there is hope, but you have to be part of that solution. Get involved. Get very loud about this. The fact I see all these people here tell me everyone's concerned about this, we need to take our party back. We cannot quietly go into the night. So stand up, be heard, question everything. God bless you all. God bless America. And I hope to God these guys get thrown out of office. Kathy Chamberlain, amazing individual here. God bless her. Love her to death.
Thank you, David. David Cannon made it here with minutes to spare, like always. My name is Kathy Chamberlain. I've been a resident of Pinellas County, Florida for 30 years, and a Republican precinct committee woman for nearly 10 years when I was targeted by the RPOF for suspension in September. As an author of 2 political books that counter Saul Alinsky's Rules for Radicals, I've been speaking throughout our state for 6 years, warning about the dangers of the left. I became the target of the Republican establishment for my outspoken views about the stolen election of 2020 and the unfair treatment of J6ers. This past August, I was finishing my now released book, Rules for Rhinos. and needed answers about the RPOF's suspension of the MAGA majority Manatee Republican Executive Committee. So I called Mark Cross, the chairman of the RPOF's Grievance Committee, to ask why not one single witness from that committee, from Manatee, was called during the Grievance Committee's investigation of the grievance filed against their MREC chairwoman. He never answered that question. Instead, 1 week later, his committee met to discuss complaints against me by Bill Helmich, the executive director of the RPOF, a man I've never even met. The complaints accused me of doing what President Trump himself has asked all of us to do. Number one accuses me of using divisive rhetoric. During one of my speeches, you know what I said? This is in their complaint. Quote, "We don't just have rhinos in Washington, D.C. We have them in our own backyard right here in Florida, too." What happened to our freedom of speech? Second complaint was about my affiliation with Defend Florida and promoting, quote, in their words, unsubstantiated election fraud claims. This from our RPOF. President Trump, these are the people you think support your mail-in ballot elimination. In fact, they are the ones pushing for more. Number three punishes me for starting up a MAGA group called Pinellas Watchdogs. Sorry. Since when did we lose our constitutional right to assemble? Grievance number four questions my judgment for daring to manage a campaign for an unjustly accused J6er running for office against a Marxist. These grievances and my replies are readily available on my website. I am transparent. You can find them at rulesfordeplorablesbook.com. Look under the menu heading Rules for Rhinos. If you complain about the stolen election or affiliate with unapproved groups, or organize an America First group not meeting their approval, or if you align with J6ers, you are not welcome as a member in this Republican Party. Who really are the dividers then? There's no doubt our party needs a good purging, not from the bottom up as they seem to be doing, but from the top down. I am often asked by REC members whether they should quit. So many people want to. I say absolutely not. Wait until they purge you like they did us so they can expose themselves even more. If we can get the rhinos out, we'll need as many America Firsters on the inside to support what's left. Thank you all, and God bless America. God bless President Trump. And now back to Pat Tchaikovsky to wrap up our press conference.
Thank you to all of our speakers for sharing their time and experiences today. Thank you to the members of the press and our guests who joined us, especially those who traveled for several hours to get here. As this past Tuesday's elections proved, our fight for our freedoms is far from over. President Trump needs his base to stay in the fight on a local level. As General Michael Flynn says, local action has national impact. The RPOF, by purging Grassroots America First members, is showing us who they really are. Help us to spread this information and share this press conference with everyone you know. It's going to be on MiamiIndependent.com, the Coastal Conservative Network on all their platforms. If any of these stories sound like something you've been through, please join us. For all questions and to support our cause, email us at joinapec@protonmail.com. That's joinapec@protonmail.com. For those of you that are here in person, we have a sign-up sheet on the table across the street. On behalf of the American Patriot Executive Committee, thank you again for being here. This concludes our press conference.
Thank you.
Michelle Posey is going to say a few words, and after that, we're going to do a picture of everybody that's been purged from the RPOF.
Thank you guys, and thank you everybody for doing this amazing event. I wasn't going to speak originally, and I'm here with Coastal Conservative News, and I just talked to a couple people who came out from the RPOF that had some questions, and I thought, you know what? I'm ready to be an active member of the Republican Party of Florida, but they won't let me. I'm ready to haul my cookies to DC and make sure that they get back to work. That's where I just returned from at midnight last night. But my party won't let me. I'm ready to lace up my shoes and get out and get these young people with Club America and Turning Point USA involved and do it through the Republican umbrella. But my Republican Party won't let me. Where are we living right now, Floridians? When a hungry mama bear is ready to defend her young, and you won't let me. I have to believe that a majority of the people in that room, in that building, with the Republican Party of Florida, believe just like I do. They're honest state committee men and women. They're REC chairs. They're in there fighting for what they believe is best. And maybe, just maybe, you don't know that this is what's happening. But this is the wonderful part about investigative journalism. You now know. What are you going to do about it? At Coastal Conservative News, we like to give calls to actions. Number one, if you're watching this, I need for you to figure out who your state committee man, state committee woman, and REC chair are. And I need you to contact them by email and telephone and let them know why are so many people, so many hungry mama bears being purged from within the Republican Party of Florida. That's the first question. The second question, I'm going to ask our 2026 gubernatorial candidates this question. What are you going to do when you have to hold hands with the Republican Party of Florida? Is this the look of your new Florida under your direction and leadership? I need my strong Byron Donalds, the Paul Renners, the potential Jay Collins to speak to me as independent journalism and say, does this reflect you? Does this reflect you? Because I've had two of the three of you ask me to join your campaign. But I can't join the Republican Party of Florida because they kicked me out. Yes. I'm the strongest candidate for Sarasota County School Board in 2026, and I'm not a member of the RPOF because you evicted me. I need you to understand this if you're watching this. This is not the Republican Party of Florida at large. These are two individuals, Evan Power and Bill Helmich. And I ask of you, please watch our investigative piece by Raj Dorsami. I still have not had a phone call from Bill Helmich to answer why you hold office in a county that you do not hold a homestead in.
Wow. No.
Why do you vote, Bill Helmich, in a county that you do not hold homestead in? It's a simple question. It's a simple question.
Criminal.
Most Republicans are honest and hardworking. Most Florida Republicans want to do the right things. And most RPOF members are amazing. But this leadership has got to go.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
All right, we're here at the American Patriot Executive Committee press conference. What's your name and why are you here?
I'm Rick Lacey, and until 2 weeks ago, I was chairman of the Brevard Republican Party, where I was elected 5 times overwhelmingly by the committee people elected at the local level.
Wow. And so what happened and what brought you to speak to the people here and want to defend your party and really get it back to what it was?
Well, Evan Power Hungry, the chairman of the Republican Party of Florida, who's a lobbyist and is a flunky of Randy Fine. Randy Fine has been trying to defeat me in Brevard County for 10 years. He's failed every single time. So they couldn't defeat me because the people support me. So he went to Evan Power, who he controls his little puppet, and they used phony grievances to remove me. No appeal, no hearing, nothing. Just remove me as chairman, like they're doing across the state of Florida. It's very wrong, and it's very dangerous to have that kind of power in a Republican Party, because they are destroying the Republican Party like a fish gets destroyed from the neck down. That's what they are doing to the Republican Party. And what we got to do is step up. We got to get rid of Randy Fine, who's a carpetbagger, doesn't even live in the congressional district, that he doesn't pay taxes there. He can't even vote there, but he is their congressman through a lot of special interest money that supports him. And we've got to get rid of Randy Fine. Hopefully the voters in the 6th district will pick a real Republican next year in the August primary. We also got to replace Evan Power here and get rid of the lobbyist-controlled, power-hungry people that are controlling this party, and get back to the Republican Party at the grassroots level where the people have a say.
I love it. How can we do that today? With all these people that want to get involved and do something, where do we start with the things you just listed? How do we get involved and start doing stuff to prevent this from happening and change it?
Well, I would say if anybody wants to get involved in their own county, contact me or contact one of our groups here. They can contact me at ricklacey1@yahoo.com, or they could call me or whatever in Brevard County, and I'd be glad to help you out in your own county.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Hi guys, Michelle Posey here with Coastal Conservative News. We are sweating it out here in Orlando, outside of the Republican Party of Florida quarterly meeting. Why are so many Republicans not inside that building? Well, I was one that was thrown out last year when I tried to go in and get a cup of coffee. So what did we do wrong? I don't know. There seems to be somewhat of a purge happening within the Republican Party of Florida. I'm here with Kathy Chamberlain. She is one of the founders of the American Patriot Executive Committee. Kathy, thank you so much. Tell me why it was so important for you to put this together.
Well, actually, and thank you for coming out. You know what? I totally forgot you were purged too. It's unbelievable. I'm speaking to more people who have not been purged, or who have been purged than not purged these days. So there's a real effort going on right now to really decimate Trump's base in Florida. And we're all watching it happen right before our eyes. So last July, during the Reclaim campaign, if you recall, that we all put together down there in Venice, I was one of the keynote speakers, and I had breakout sessions, and I started talking to other patriots, asking them if they'd like to form a coalition. We're very loosely put together, but the whole purpose of the APEC coalition is that we want to unite the MAGA groups that are interspersed throughout Florida. And so many of us work within our own groups, but we don't know what somebody in Sarasota or Pinellas or across the state is doing. So what this is actually trying, what we're trying to do here is that we're going to be reaching out to every MAGA group, every MAGA club in the state. We're already up to 25 counties represented. All you need to do is send us one representative from your group or club. They'll join us for a Zoom call, maybe twice a week, twice a month. It's not really that hard. And then you'll hear what we're planning for the future. At that point, that one representative goes back to their MAGA group and tells them what we're planning to do, like this. This is our first of many missions to come. We're already in the planning of a mission coming up in January. So get on board, because we need everybody. Now, what the other thing that we're planning to do, we know that the Republican Party of Florida has all the money. We just kind of talked about how they're getting all their money, and a lot of it's coming from our own donations. So that means the grassroots and the MAGA candidates, the America Firsters, they're not winning these elections, these local elections. They're up against like developers and people that most of the residents don't want. So what we'll do is, let's say you have a candidate in Sarasota that you really want financed, funded candidate from the RPOF. You'll call APEC. We'll all put our heads together, and we're going to start having press conference after press conference all together across the state, calling for action, calling for people. How many millionaires are MAGA millionaires in Florida that just don't know which candidates to give to. We're going to be the voice to tell them where to put their money. And also, we're going to have graphic artists signed up. We already have committees going on now, phone bankers. We're going to get so united and so organized that candidates are going to come to us to endorse them and get endorsements for them. So this is the beginning.
I love that. And thank you so much, Kathy, for what you're doing. She has been in the trenches for quite some time. And again, it's important our viewers understand the first love was to put us to work. I think everybody was involved in a Republican Party of Florida that we believed in and just wanted to work. And something has desperately broken. So if you want more information, make sure you email joinapec@protonmail.com. Reach out to Kathy. She'll get you hooked up. Kathy, thank you so much for what you're doing. I'm going to give you a hug.
Thank you for coming.
Okay, Michelle with CCN, still here in Orlando. I've got no stranger standing next to me here. He is the executive vice president of the Florida Republican Assembly. Florida Republican Assemblies have been around for a long time. All you Reaganites are probably familiar with the assemblies, but Lou, you've become persona non grata within the Republican Party. What the heck's going on?
Oh, a lot's going on. Just surprised those that don't know. Last Friday, I got served with papers being kicked and removed from the RPOF membership again. I say that because it happened back in 2021, which hurt my feelings then. But now I wear it with a badge of honor. Why they kicked me out? Well, by the way, those that don't know, I'm a 22-year Gulf War veteran, proud MAGA and American First conservative fighting for truth. I was removed not for breaking the rules, but for refusing to bow to the establishment. They're ignoring their own rules called Rule 22, A, B, C, D, and E. They did not give me no notice, no hearing, no due process. That is not Republican leadership. That's what I call political corruption. They accuse me of wrongdoing for serving with the Florida Republican Assembly, a Judeo-Christian organization, independent, as you said earlier. Reagan referred to us as the conscience of the Republican Party. We've been actively in Florida for over 25 years. Again, like I said, they fear us because we have to remind them they've forgotten about faith, family, freedom, and the United States Constitution. Meanwhile, the party elites, the people such as Evan Powers, Bill Helmich, and David Rumba were caught bankrolling Democrats, candidates, while collecting their fat $200,000 salaries from the very party that they're supposed to serve. They're enriching themselves while betraying the very voters who put trust in them. And I don't stand this alone. You heard today several MAGA folks that were actually kicked out for unjust cause, such Trent Wayman, Dr. David Kalin, and many others. These are loyal MAGA first, candidate first folks being punished simply for defending the movement that made this party great again. They don't want unity. They demand obedience. Well, let me say this. We do not kneel to corruption. We stand for truth. In closing, I would say this. 3 things. My message is simple. Restore integrity. Reinstate the grassroots, and return the party to we the people. The Republican Party cannot defend freedom while silencing patriots. It's time to drain Tallahassee and rebuild this movement with a rock-solid foundation, God, family, and country once again. Thank you, God bless, and God bless all those that came out here to stand for truth. I love you guys. And I would say this, stay focused, stay informed, and above all, stay united. We have to work together. Thank you. Thank you.
God bless you, Lou. Thank you so much. You guys, I want to make sure that to everybody that watches this, I have a sneaking suspicion, because we get a lot of viewers that we don't think would normally watch us, right? So if you're tuning in, and maybe you're an REC chair somewhere, or you are a state committee man or woman, or you donate to the Republican Party of Florida, and all this is new news to you, we've got a lot more that we would like to give to you as far as a tool set on how we can make this party a reflection of you and I. Again, overall, the theme here is unity. I'm ready. Send me. And what are you doing to disenfranchise these people? Maybe you weren't aware of that. I want you to reach out at contact@coastalconservativenews.com. Contact@coastalconservativenews.com. I answer those emails myself. I'd love to be able to reach out to you, whether you're an elected official and you don't really like what's going on, what you're hearing. Let's work together. Let's work together to build a stronger party. Guys, 2026 is just around the corner. If Virginia didn't show you something in Winsome Sears losing her election, Lieutenant Governor, That is the home of parental rights, and they just flipped. If what's happening with Mandami in New York City isn't frightening to you, if those of you who migrated here from New York and New Jersey aren't shocked at Chitterelli's loss, if this is shocking to you, we have to build a big party here in Florida, because, as they say all around the country, don't New York, don't California, my Florida. We got to have a strong party. We're going to interview some other people here. I want to get David Kalin in. When you have questions once in a while and you're like, is this true? Is this really happening? This is the man that I come to. I'm like, David, because you understand, you've gotten elected, you've done everything the way they said you should. Tell me a little bit about what it's like to hold office under that kind of leadership of Evan Power and Bill Helmich.
When you realize you're being hamstringed from the start, and that everything, your efforts, everything you're working for to make your community better, because that's really why we have our local REC boards, and that is to really grow our community of conservatives, to find out that they're actively working against growing that local community, because they don't want that. They prefer people who are blind in the dark and push that button that says R, which is why they don't want any of us endorsing in primary elections. Well, in Florida, all our real elections at the local level happen in our primaries. And if we're not actively involved in that primary election to determine, is that a rhino, or is that just a flat out Democrat who switched parties to get into office, but they're being supported by most of the folks at the RPOF, but we know different at the local level, it's our duty to get up and say, no, we support this other candidate who's truly here for the people and who is truly conservative and holds on to those Christian values that our party was founded on and that our nation was founded on. This just isn't a party issue. When you read that Constitution, that in God we trust, they put everything in there about our Christian values. And the reason they did that is because the morality that brings to our nation and that belief we have a God to answer to, so that if we're not following the right thing, we're going to pay the ultimate price for that at some point. That's to keep honest people honest and to doing the right thing. Our party is actively at the head trying to eliminate that. I ask, what bizarro world are we living in right now that the Republican Party has a lobbyist running it? That is the biggest oxymoron that could happen in the state of Florida. And if our governor isn't paying attention to this right now, he needs to wake up and realize what's happening, because this is not just something that's going to be brushed under the rug this week or next week. I'm on a mission from God.
Well, and
I'm digging into this deep.
Absolutely. And one of the things that, just to double down on that, we have such strong leadership here in Florida, largely because as Republicans, we're not the bobblehead community. We're not Democrats. We don't just link arms under any, King's Day protest kind of scenario. We're not bobbleheads. We're Republicans. We're independent thinkers. The strong leaders like Ron DeSantis, the strong leaders like Byron Donalds, Jay Collins, even Paul Renner, who I think has thrown his hat in the race for governorship. We need to hear from you on this, because we know you're going to have to work arm in arm with a Republican Party of Florida, and we all seek to have that be very, very strong. We're not divisive. We're not out here badgering you. We're saying we want to play too. And we want it to be the best of the best. So, David, I don't want our viewers to feel like they're disenfranchised and shouldn't get involved. How can they get involved?
I want you to get involved, even into your REC. It is important. People are going, oh my God, you're asking them to get back into the very organization you got thrown out of. Hopefully, by bringing the light to what is truly going on at the top, and we get quality leadership that really has those American values at heart to lead this party forward, we need those people at the local level to make that difference, to be able to pick up and continue forward. So do not be dismayed. Stay the course. You always do the right thing, even when the right thing isn't popular. That's what we are supposed to do as that conservative party.
Thank you, David, for all you do, and keep fighting. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. We've got one more, and then we're going to close it out. All right, guys, Michelle here with Coastal and Conservative News. We're bringing all the stories today that you won't hear anywhere else, okay? So we're hearing stories of all different types of people who have been removed from the Republican Party of Florida. This next story should pull at your heartstrings. What is your name? And tell us a little bit about what your story is with the leadership of the Republican Party.
So my name is Leslie Gray. I am a J6er. I went to prison for standing up against stolen elections. So my experience with the Republican Party of Florida and my local REC is that they steal elections the same way Democrats do. And I believe as a Republican, if we do not hold our leaders' feet to the fire, then we have lost our country and lost our nation. And I think most importantly is that we stand up and we let our voice be counted. The more numbers we have, the more they're going to listen to us. We cannot allow it to stand. In 2020, when the election was stolen, we see what happened to our country during all those times. And now what we're fighting to take it back, we have to continue to fight. I mean, President Trump, MAGA voters are what got him elected.
Yes.
MAGA voters elected Trump. If you believe in a conservative republic, then you have to stand against leaders like the RPOF, like Evan Power and Bill Helmich, who are kicking out MAGA Republicans. Can you imagine the Republican Party purging true Republicans? And take that a step further, purging the MAGA Republicans who are the ones that got the Republican at our head elected. That speaks volumes to what their plans are for our nation.
Thank you for bringing that to my mind, because I do think it would be fitting. I mean, what do you think, viewers? Chime in below. I almost think it would be fitting to hear from the leadership, Evan Power and Bill Helmich, on what their stance is on the 2020 election, because we're about to see some dominoes fall here in the next couple of months, which will show you exactly what was going on. I know Tulsi Gabbard's going to be releasing some information. We've got Kash Patel releasing information. I would also like to urge our RPOF leadership, Evan Power and Bill Helmich, to come on the record and talk to us a little bit about statements that were allegedly made regarding General Michael Flynn. You know him, the National Security Advisor for Donald Trump, who's largely been right. I mean, we hate to say they call us that we're far right. No, we're right so far. So I'd like to maybe our leadership should come out and actually speak about that. Let us know, how can we help you? Do you have, I know you said you were there for January 6th. What are you going through now? Have you been, are you free of any issues?
I've got a pardon, so I'm free of that. I thank God every day that because I'm a J6er, that I had a family that stood behind me. My husband is standing right over there. My husband wasn't there, but my husband stood behind me. I think I feel for the men who lost their homes, their families, their wives, their children. That's where my heart really breaks. And then beyond that is for our country. Because when true patriots go to prison, that's political warfare, and we can't allow it to happen. So stand up. Maybe if you're somebody who has judged a J6er, maybe take a moment to sit down and talk to us and find out that we're real people. I'm a mother. I'm a grandmother. I'm a wife, and I am a patriot, and I am not ashamed that I went to prison standing up for my great nation.
Thank you so much. God bless you for what you do. And guys, keep it locked here on CCN and Open Mic, because we will be bringing you the stories of J6. We were right about that too. Camden, come on here and join us. Wow, what an afternoon, sweating it out here in Florida. What do you think about some of the stories of what's been happening with people disenfranchised from our own party?
I'm very impressed by how patriotic these people are. They really care about their country. They came out in the hot Florida sun just to show people that they want to take their party back, because that's how important our future is. My future. I'm a young American.
He's the future of this party.
Yes, we want to keep it how it was and keep the conservative values and not just let the leadership corrupt the entire party. So I'm glad there are people out here actually standing up for me and my future.
Absolutely. We do a lot, Camden and I, with Turning Point USA. We've founded the headquarters for Turning Point USA and Club America. Go to tpusasrq.com if you want to join. So we got young people coming up. We're telling them, get involved. And then you come and hear this. Did this shock you? Was this something you thought was going on? What do you think?
I had no idea this was going on. And I think the truth needs to be brought to the light, because young people, we're not even sure what the whole political atmosphere is. We're just trying to get involved and see what we can do to stand up for our country, because we see things go on like Charlie Kirk getting assassinated. We see our own state. We want to keep it conservative because we see what other states are doing with Mamdani in New York, and we just want to get involved, but we don't even know half the things that go on, and we need to be informed. So that's why telling the truth is so important.
It is, and letting everybody get to share their voice. I want to bring in a special woman here, Pat. Come in between Camden and I. I think they're cheering for all the MAGA stuff. So. Pat, this was amazing. Thank you for doing this. What is something that you would like to share with our viewers as how they can help you and get more involved?
Yeah, just get involved, find out who your grassroots people are. That's what American Patriots Executive Committee, that's what we're trying to do all over the state of Florida, is to have a member of each of the grassroots organizations in the county so that we can all work together to elect grassroots candidates in the primaries, because that is where really the battle is fought. And unfortunately, there's too many Republicans that do not vote in the primaries. They're not informed. And I think that we really need to get informed about who is actually running, because everybody goes with name recognition. And unfortunately, we keep voting the same way. We're going to get the same old people and nothing's going to change.
Pat, I'm a young American. I'm 22 years old. We don't even know this stuff is going on in our own party, but why should we care? What does this mean? Because I'm 22, and a lot of people my age, we just want to know what we're supposed to do, why it's important that this is happening, because we just see the Republican Party, the Democrat Party, but half the people don't know there's actually a divide in the party. So what can you say to the young people watching that don't understand this or why they should care?
Well, the Republican Party has a platform, right? Limited government, fiscal conservatism, liberty. And we need to make sure that the people that we are electing believe in those things and that are not being bankrolled by the big PACs. There's all of these political committees, and they're just, paying one. It's like a money laundering operation from one PAC to another to another. You don't even know who's funding these. So that's what APEC is supposed to be doing. We want to vet local candidates. That's one thing that nobody's really doing right now. The RPOF says, oh, they got an R behind their name, we'll want them. But, we don't even know how long they've been a Republican. And, there's no, check to make sure that their values align with it. We had all of those representatives in Tallahassee change party, and everybody, whooped and hollered. But, did they change their views? And, what is the process of vetting these people about why they're changing? Not just because they want to get a committee leadership or anything like that, right? Or, they want to get the bennies of being in leadership. So I think we really, really need to have more patriots, right? It's not about padding our own pockets. And unfortunately, we have too many people in office that are padding our pockets. We need people to be brave. We need churches to get involved. I mean, the church has been way too silent for way too long. We are a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. Yes. If you're a person in church, you are part of the government.
Amen. Amen. Get out there. Thank you so much, Pat, for what you do. God bless you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
That's awesome. Well, guys, you've heard it here. Camden and I bringing a news story to you that, look, nobody else is telling this story, Camden.
I know.
But I bet you're happy that you heard it, because you have to know what's going on here. We have to keep Florida strong. We have to keep Florida red. And we have to keep Florida of, by, and for the people like you. So get out there, let your voices heard. Check back next week. Check the coastalconservativenews.com website. We're going to have a link there so that you can find your state committee man, your state committee woman, and your REC chair by county. And I want you to reach out to them and let them know, hey, what's going on with these people that are being kicked out of the party? Let's make our party united and even bigger than ever.
And by the way, you're not too young to get involved. You can do it at this age. We're a part of that. We're a part of the movement. It's not just like you see these press conferences, a lot of great people turn out. The young people are not here, but you're not too young. You can get involved at any age.
Absolutely. And we want to make sure that we don't disenfranchise our young people who are eager and ready to get involved. Let's be ready to open and receive them with open arms. All right, guys, that's it for Coastal Conservative News tonight. Make sure you tune in every Friday, 7 p.m. right here. Also follow us on all social media platforms for the latest breaking news that nobody else is going to tell you anywhere. Have a good night.